In the quiet of his trance state, Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, revealed insights that would challenge our most fundamental understanding of human existence. While in these altered states of consciousness, Cayce accessed information that seemed to transcend time and space, offering glimpses into realms beyond ordinary perception. Among his most controversial revelations was the assertion that not all human-appearing beings walking the earth possess what we traditionally understand as a soul. This insight, largely kept from public discourse for decades after his death in 1945, offers a profound perspective on the nature of consciousness itself. Before we continue, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. Throughout his career giving psychic readings, Edgar Cayce provided over 14,000 documented readings while in a trance state. What makes Cayce's work particularly compelling is that he never claimed personal credit for the information that came through him. "The conscious Edgar Cayce knows nothing of this information," he would often say after awakening. It was as though the sleeping Cayce had access to a universal database of knowledge, what he termed the Akashic Records, a dimensional archive containing every thought, word, and action from all time. In Cayce's cosmology, souls are divine sparks of the Creator's consciousness, entities on an evolutionary journey through multiple dimensions and lifetimes. According to his readings, souls were created in the beginning as companions to the divine, spiritual beings with free will and the capacity for co-creation. However, what Cayce revealed about the presence of souls in human bodies presents a more complex picture than most spiritual traditions acknowledge. There are entities, or souls, and there are beings with no souls, stated reading 5563, given in February 1944. This distinction represents one of Cayce's most misunderstood concepts. What exactly did he mean? In Cayce's framework, there exist what might be called young souls, consciousness that has recently individuated from the group soul experience but hasn't yet developed full self-awareness. These are not soulless in the sense of being empty or evil, but rather undeveloped in their spiritual journey. As one researcher who studied with the Association for Research and Enlightenment, the organization founded to preserve Cayce's work, explained, "Cayce's readings suggest that consciousness evolves through a series of stages before becoming what we might call a fully individuated soul. Some beings we encounter may be at earlier stages of this development. The concept becomes clearer when we understand Cayce's belief in the soul's evolutionary journey. In his cosmology, consciousness first experiences existence as part of a group soul, similar to how many indigenous traditions view animal consciousness. As this consciousness evolves, it eventually individuates, beginning its journey as a distinct soul with increasingly complex experiences through multiple lifetimes. In the beginning, one of Cayce's readings stated, all souls were created together as a single unit of consciousness in the mind of God. Over vast epochs, these units of consciousness began their individualized journeys, some advancing more rapidly than others. This explains why, according to Cayce, we see such variation in spiritual awareness among humans today. The sleeping prophet described three basic categories of incarnated consciousness on Earth: fully developed souls with significant past life experiences, young souls at the beginning of their individuated journey, and what he cryptically called thought forms, or shells, physical human bodies temporarily animated by collective consciousness rather than an individual soul. Not all beings perceived as human are ensouled in the same manner, reading 2897-4 suggested. This isn't about moral judgment, but rather about spiritual development. According to Cayce, these different categories exist because Earth serves as a schoolhouse for souls at various stages of development. The physical dimension provides opportunities for growth that cannot be achieved in purely spiritual realms. What makes this concept particularly challenging is that, according to Cayce, there would be no obvious physical differences between these categories. A being without a fully developed individual soul would appear entirely human, with normal intelligence and emotions. The difference would be subtle, perhaps noticeable only in a certain spiritual emptiness, or in behaviors that consistently prioritize material concerns over spiritual growth. The soulless ones, as one Cayce scholar interpreted the readings, are not evil or less than human. They are simply at a different stage of development, like spiritual infants taking their first steps into individuated consciousness. It's important to note that Cayce himself was cautious about this teaching, recognizing its potential for misinterpretation. In reading 5056-3, when asked directly about beings without souls, he responded, "This requires a lengthy discourse on the creation of souls and their journey. Be mindful that all are children of one Creator, regardless of their stage of development." Some of Cayce's contemporaries and later followers have interpreted this concept through the lens of reincarnation. In this view, some physical bodies might temporarily operate without a reincarnating soul attached, either awaiting soul attachment or serving as vehicles for collective consciousness experience. These would not be permanent conditions, but rather transitional states in the greater cosmic drama. Edgar Cayce emphasized that the soul's journey is about spiritual growth through experience. The purpose of the soul, he stated in reading 57493, is to become aware of itself as a conscious, individualized portion of the Creator, and to express the Creator's attributes through its unique individuality. This process necessarily unfolds in stages, with some consciousness further along the path than others. The Association for Research and Enlightenment has maintained careful records of Cayce's readings since his death, though certain readings were indeed held back from public view for decades, not to censor the information, but to prevent misunderstanding or misuse of concepts that required careful contextual interpretation. The idea of soulless beings is precisely such a concept, requiring a holistic understanding of Cayce's entire cosmology to properly interpret. In Cayce's worldview, the lack of a fully developed soul in some human forms was never intended as a divisive teaching. Rather, it illustrated the magnificent spectrum of consciousness development occurring on our planet. Just as we accept that a 5-year-old child has not yet developed adult capacities while still being fully human and worthy of love, Cayce viewed spiritual development as an ongoing process with multiple stages. All are on the path back to the Creator, reading 1646.1 stated. Some have traveled far, others are just beginning the journey in individual form, but all are part of the divine plan, and all will eventually return to full awareness of their divine nature. This perspective offers profound implications for how we view human behavior and spiritual capacity. According to Cayce, those with more developed souls carry greater responsibility, not superiority, as they are expected to serve as way showers for younger souls. The concept of soul development in Cayce's work is always tied to service and compassion, never to hierarchy or judgment. When we observe humans who seem to lack empathy or spiritual awareness, Cayce would suggest we're not witnessing soullessness in a negative sense, but rather souls at an early stage of development, spiritual children still learning the fundamental lessons of existence. Just as we wouldn't condemn a child for not understanding calculus, Cayce advocated patience and compassionate guidance for all beings, regardless of their soul development. This understanding transforms how we might view human behavior. Those who seem fixated on material gain, power, or sensory pleasure to the exclusion of spiritual values may simply be younger souls, experiencing those aspects of physical existence for the first time, learning lessons that more developed souls mastered many lifetimes ago. Cayce scholar and biographer Sidney Kirkpatrick notes that Cayce's readings consistently emphasized free will as the soul's greatest gift. Even those at early stages of soul development possess this divine attribute, the capacity to choose their path and accelerate their spiritual growth through conscious choice. This explains why Cayce never advocated treating any human differently based on perceived soul development. Each being's choices remain sacred and worthy of respect. While in trance, Cayce once stated, "For the soul is eternal, and what ye do with thy opportunities in relation to that eternal truth determines thy soul development." This principle applies equally to all beings, regardless of their current stage of evolution. The potential for spiritual growth exists in every conscious entity. Cayce's readings also suggested that soul development accelerates through conscious choice and spiritual practice. Meditation, service to others, and aligning one's will with divine principles were all prescribed as means of soul advancement. This offers hope that even the youngest souls can progress rapidly when they awaken to spiritual purpose. What does it mean that this teaching was censored or kept from public view for so long? The reality is more nuanced than conspiracy would suggest. Cayce's family and the ARE have always maintained that certain readings required careful context to prevent misinterpretation. Given humanity's history of using spiritual differences to justify mistreatment of others, the caution was warranted. As Cayce's son Hugh Lynn once explained, some concepts from the readings require a mature spiritual understanding. Released without proper context, they could be misused or create unnecessary fear. The teaching about soul development stages was one such concept, requiring a comprehensive understanding of Cayce's entire cosmology to interpret correctly. The core of Cayce's message was never about separation or judgment, but about unity and compassion. In the final analysis, he stated while in trance, we are all one, expressions of the same divine consciousness, exploring itself through myriad forms and stages of development. This ultimate unity transcends any temporary differences in soul development or awareness. In the light of Cayce's full teaching, the revelation that not all humans have equally developed souls becomes not a cause for alarm, but a call for greater compassion and understanding. It expands our conception of the magnificent journey of consciousness, from unity through individuation and earthly experience, and eventually back to conscious unity with the divine, enriched by the journey. For those of us encountering this teaching today, perhaps the most valuable application is not in attempting to categorize others, but in honest self-reflection. Where am I on my soul's journey? How might I accelerate my spiritual development through conscious choice? How can I serve others at different stages of development with compassion rather than judgment? The sleeping prophet left us with this guidance. Each soul enters with a mission. We all have a mission to perform. Regardless of our stage of soul development, we each have a unique contribution to make to the tapestry of existence. No stage is without purpose or value in the greater cosmic plan. Edgar Cayce's revelation about varying stages of soul development ultimately illuminates the profound patience of the Creator, allowing each spark of divine consciousness to develop at its own pace through countless experiences across dimensions and lifetimes. Far from being a dark secret, it's a testament to the magnificent scope and compassion of the divine plan for spiritual evolution. As we reflect on these profound teachings that emerged from the unconscious mind of a humble man from Kentucky, we're invited to expand our understanding of what it means to be human and what lies beyond our humanity. The journey of the soul, as Cayce described it, is the greatest adventure possible, spanning countless lifetimes and dimensions, all leading back to conscious reunion with our source. In Cayce's own words from reading 5749:3, "For as the Father had life in himself, so hath he given to the sons of men that they may have life in themselves, and that abundantly." This gift of life, of conscious evolving soul experience, represents the greatest blessing imaginable, regardless of what stage of development we currently express. What truly matters, according to the sleeping prophet, is not where we are on the path, but that we are consciously walking it, choosing in each moment to move toward greater awareness, compassion, and alignment with divine principles. In this choice lies the essence of soul development itself. Edgar Cayce's work reminds us that we are not merely physical beings having occasional spiritual experiences, but spiritual beings immersed in the physical for purposes of growth. The revelation about varying stages of soul development invites us to view humanity with greater compassion, recognizing that each person we encounter is at a perfect place in their unique journey, worthy of respect regardless of their current awareness. Perhaps most importantly, Cayce's perspective offers hope. No state of development is permanent. All consciousness continues to evolve toward greater awareness of its divine nature. The journey may span countless lifetimes, but the destination, reunification with the Source in full consciousness, awaits us all. Thank you for staying with us through this exploration of one of Edgar Cayce's most profound and misunderstood teachings. We hope it has offered new perspectives on the nature of consciousness and our shared spiritual journey. If these ideas resonated with you, please hit the like button to help share this wisdom with others who might benefit. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences related to soul development in the comments below. We read every comment and truly value your insights. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more explorations of spirituality's deepest mysteries. Remember, as Cayce himself often said, the best interpretation of a dream is the one that resonates with the dreamer. Your understanding of these concepts, filtered through your own experience, holds unique value on the path of awakening.